Great. Welcome, everybody. It's Mari-Lyn Harris here of Hard at Work. And we're here. I'm here talking to Matt about the Kindness Conference that's happening at the end of January. Welcome, everybody. It's Mari-Lyn Harris here of Hard at Work. And one problem. We're here. I'm here talking to. Okay. Silence that. Then we have two voices running.
Right.
It's kind of confusing because there's a lag. But anyway, welcome everybody. And hi, Matt. How you doing today?
Great. So great to be with you. And Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year. I learned today that the Chinese say better up. So better up, New Year of 2021. Nice. Yeah. Cool. So Matt and I are going to talk about the Kindness Conference. Oh, Kimberly has just arrived. And we're just going to talk about Matt and Kimberly about the conference that is coming up. And we'll just kind of carry on. So she'll guest join us momentarily. So Matt, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what's happening and yeah.
Great. Yeah. Well, thanks again for having me. So my name's Matt Schlegel, and I am the author of a book, Teamwork 9.0.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a novel approach to using a tool called the Enneagram
mm-hmm.
to help teams become more effective in working with one another and working through problem solving together.
Okay, cool. So I think Kimberly has just joined us. Kimberly, you have to unmute yourself. Sorry, I should just make this automatic. So anyway, so we're Kimberly as another Enneagram believer. We did a call together the other day. And everybody's talking about her, of course. Hey, Kimberly. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Kimberly Weefling. I'm a physicist by education and realized long ago that human skills are much more important. And I've been working for the last about 12 years, working with Japanese companies that are globalizing, pulling together groups of people from a dozen different countries and seeing how they can work together to achieve what seems impossible.
Right. And this pandemic and all the political environment that we're in right now, I believe that kindness can pull us all together. So, Matt, tell us, you were saying that you introduced yourself and how you got started with the Enneagram. And so can you talk a little bit more about what some of the things that you are interested in talking about at the conference?
Yeah, so, I'm really looking forward to the conference. It's, I have a technical training and background, but as I went through my career, I discovered that, getting teams to work together was just as important or more important than solving the technical challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And so that became a real focus for me during my management career. So I want to share, the importance of focusing on the teams and getting teams to work together effectively at the conference. So often people focus on the technical aspects of their jobs and not focus on the human relations and the human interactivity that is crucial for people to work together to solve problems. And it's important to remind people that is a crucial ingredient to success and getting teams to work together. So that's what I hope to focus on.
Yeah, cool. And Kimberly, you want to add anything? She's muted.
Well, I would just support that, all the data shows clearly that the top causes of failure in teams have nothing to do with technology. One of the MIT studies that I'm fond of says the number one reason they don't succeed is because they fail to build trusting relationships. And
Right.
you know what Matt does, helping people learn about each other and appreciate differently gifted people, right? We call them differently gifted. In other words, the people who annoy and irritate you sometimes are crucial to your success. And you need to attack the issues together, not attack each other, you know,
Yeah.
be tough on the issues and be soft on the people. And that was something that I took decades to learn, quite honestly, because we learn none of that in technology education.
Interesting. Interesting. So what were the top learning things that you both kind of have learned? I guess the human aspects of building teams and then you have your technical, you both have a technical background. So what was your biggest kind of learning, I guess, really, to hop from one to people? Was just experience, or was it just the challenges you were having working with people?
Kimberly, you go first, please.
Well, I was, you know, I worked at Hewlett Packard for 10 years in 7 different jobs, and then in 2 really challenging startups. And I always was able to get the teams to do impossible things, but through very harsh methods. And, you know, people seem to always like the results I produced, but didn't really like me. And I felt like eventually I was a hired assassin. You know, if they wanted someone killed, they would call Kimberly, but they wouldn't be one of seeing, you know, dining with me. And I'm
Right.
like, you know what, I'm not gonna hire myself out for that kind of thing. So then I got my 3rd and final startup job, and I was a VP of organizational culture and program management at a Xerox PARC spinoff called Group Fire, where we were fired as a group about 6 months later. But a lot of relationships for the results. I was going to have relationships that outlasted the company even. And so I put, you know, instead of results over relationships, I put results through relationships. And if I had to make the trade-off, I let results come first, which freaked me out because I'm like, we're going to fail. Well, we were going to fail anyhow because the dot-com bust was coming. But
Right.
I'm still friends with some of these people 20 years later, right?
Right.
Because I always, you know, would be like, okay, let's make sure the relationship is strong. And it was just a very purposeful act. And it proved to me the power of relationships to create results. And I've been using that in my consulting ever since with great impact. So, I mean, what did I know? I was a physicist, for crying out loud, but now I have useful skills.
That's funny, Kimberly. That's great. Thank you. So how about you, Matt?
Well, you know, really the light went off for me when I joined a company. It was Palm, if you remember Palm. And it was right after they had merged with another company called Handspring. And they were trying to integrate the 2 teams together. And I was responsible for an engineering group. And the you know, there was a lot of contentiousness between the 2 groups. And they had tried, before I joined, they had tried having a manager from Palm lead the group, and that didn't work. And they had a manager from Handspring lead the group, and that didn't work. And so they brought in me, you know, from the outside. And it was very apparent, you know, that there needed to be something transformational to get these 2 teams to start working together and talking together and becoming effective. And it was right around that time that I had started to learn the Enneagram, and I started to use the Enneagram with the team to get them to understand each other, understand where they were coming from, and they embraced it. They had fun with it, and they really got to know each other, and it really helped them come together. And then I started to use it more broadly in the company, because it wasn't just my group that was suffering from that issue. It was throughout the company. So it was a great you know, sandbox for me to deploy a lot of the tools that I ended up developing and using in my consulting practice.
Yeah. And I think, we all learn from different experiences and we all have different challenges that we learn from. And we can further expand and say, okay, how can I be of service to people? And yet, how can I bring everybody together? And I think we all have those experiences and we have different ways of doing that, or we've tried different ways and some worked and some didn't. So for me, kindness seemed to be the formula, the strategy I use to bring teams together. But so is there any specific thing around what you do that you find that kindness is now starting to work or has worked for you guys?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Do you want me to go first?
No, just jump in.
All right. So, the way I look at it is having by using tools to help you appreciate the strengths that different people bring. It helps you build empathy and understanding, and going through that process of realizing that, everybody doesn't think like me. There are different ways of thinking and processing, and it's not that they're bad or good, or my way is bad or good. It's just different.
Right.
And going through that journey of learning to appreciate the value that each one of these perspectives brings to the team, it was very empowering and transformational for me.
Right.
And it's something that I want to share with the world.
Right.
Because it is just so important for bringing people together and just getting people to calm down, take a step back, and then have and be able to approach their relationships with kindness at the core.
Right. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is about the understanding and from, like you were saying, we all make decisions differently, we all think differently, but it's just understanding each other. And so that I heard something, if you don't have a friend at work, it makes it very challenging to be there. So if you had more than one friend, you're all the better.
Right.
And you can all work together better, right?
Yep.
So yeah. Do you have anything to add, Kimberly?
Well, I have one more thing to add,
Okay,
and that is Kimberly and
I think that one of the things that really opened my eyes to what.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to jump on you, Kimberly. I was just mentioning that you and I worked together and we stayed friends through all these years. And it was such a delight to work with Kimberly.
Well, that was even before my big transformation.
So you guys have been friends for a very long time.
We have.
I don't know if you can.
You're cutting out a little bit, Kimberly.
So can you hear me? I don't know if my signal's getting through.
Yeah, I can see you. Just cut out a little bit. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was working in the last 13 years, mostly with Japanese company. And the Japanese companies hire people from many different countries. But I find it much easier to be kind to my Japanese colleagues. Right. Because they're struggling with English and they're trying so hard and they always are trying to do the right thing for the greater good. And they're very humble. And then I realized, oh my God, I can be kind to them much more easily than my American colleagues. And Americans are like, look good, be right, win, yeah, I'm cool, and it's just drives colleagues. Right. But learning to be kind to my Japanese colleagues, now I've kind of been able to be like, oh, maybe this person needs compassion and empathy too, because they look good on the outside, but inside they might be suffering, they might be struggling. And so it has really been an interesting path towards being kind to Americans.
Yeah, I see that because like you were saying, Americans are supposed to be this tough group of people and we hang on to what we believe in and we're not going to change and all that stuff. And I can certainly see that with the people from Japanese or other countries, they're more willing to learn. That's just my viewpoint. I have a roomie that's Chinese and she's, she has a voice coach and she's really, I'll may point out a couple of things to her. So, oh, okay, that's good. So, little things like that, they're more willing to learn and say, oh, okay, have you tried this? And they'll ask her questions too, about her and about her culture and how they operate and stuff. So I'm learning a lot too. So I think it's just being kind enough, I guess, as Brian and I were talking about earlier, is that be willing to ask questions and listen to the answer, rather than other times, like you were saying, Matt, too, is that sometimes we seem to jump into thinking, oh, they don't think like me, they don't talk like me, there's something wrong with them, and really it's not about them, it's about us. What are we doing that's not embracing all of it, the listening and the talking and the sharing and the whatever that is around all that. So can you share, do you guys want to share anything more about what you're going to be talking about at the conference, or what do you encourage people to attend, or do you have anything to say about all that? Because I don't want you to give away what you're going to talk about at the conference now. We want them to attend it. So, but I do want you to share, some ideas that you have. So I'm going to mute myself and you guys go ahead.
Well, I just want to say that my topic will be about the difference between criticism and feedback, and how to use feedback, not just to help people correct and something that's not working, but how to get people to keep doing what is working. If we don't tell people what's working, what's going right, they might stop doing it. And one of the challenges, in the Japanese culture, at least, is you don't get told when things are going well, but you're told when you need to improve. So one of my American colleagues was working for a Japanese guy for 6 months, and he got no feedback at all. And so he goes up to his boss one day and he says, so, hey, I've been working with you for 6 months. How's it going? How am I doing? Good. Goes back to typing. I mean, that is not sufficient. If we have to figure out a new way of working together to help each other achieve new, exciting possibilities that would be impossible to achieve alone. And we need to have a language for that supports each other, that doesn't terrify people. When you call them into your office, hey, come into my office, I have some feedback for you. You're never expecting a positive comment when someone says that. We need to make it the norm to get feedback that's supportive.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, Kimberly, that, so often you get called into somebody's office and you're expecting, okay, what's wrong? What did I do wrong? Rather than what did I do right? So that's cool. Thank you. How about you, Matt?
Yeah. And, having gone through this, personal transformation myself, I want to at least share this tool that I use very frequently called the Enneagram with the attendees. Having different tools in your toolbox is really important, and oftentimes, like we discussed earlier, we're so focused on technical tools and technical problems, but there's a lot of other tools that are available to get teams to work together effectively. And so I'm really looking forward to sharing the Enneagram with the attendees and having conversations around how to use this tool to one, build the relationships and the trust that are so important to working effectively together, but then being able to use it widely among your team to get them to trust and work together well. So that would be my hope at this conference.
To share your message and to hopefully inspire enough people that they're willing to take a look at using this really simple tool to be having more effective relationships, right?
Right. And at the last conference you hosted,
Yeah.
We entered into a really rich conversation with the attendees about, some people were new to the Enneagram and they were asking questions, but there were some pros there as well. And they were sharing their experiences. And so it ended up being a really fascinating conversation. I think everybody got a lot out of it.
Yeah. The feedback I got was like, oh my God, the conference, so much great content in it. And wow, the speakers, so dynamic and so good. And so that was really cool to hear that, but yeah. So I think it's going to be another great one. Obviously from this conference, I've pulled both you and Kimberly into this next conference that I'm doing. But I hope to have many more. And because the idea is, as I talked to Kimberly before, maybe the conferences are for skeptics, people that, really just don't understand how better relationships are at work rather than the technical aspects of work. Or maybe, it's all about the relationship. We all hear about it's always about the relationship, but it's like, okay, but how do I do that? Right. Or why do I want to do it? Right. So I think your point is very poignant about it's not just the technical tools, it's about how we relate to each other. And,
Yes.
Learning myself from the Enneagram, from you and from some other people, is that I realized at that moment that this would be an awesome tool for workplaces to use because it really does help you understand each other a little bit better. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So cool. So you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to share, Matt, before we close off?
We lost Kimberly,
Yep.
unfortunately, but I just want to thank you for all the great work that you're doing and bringing this conference together, and all the other great speakers that attend. It's always fun to collaborate with them and learn from them. So thank you so much
You're welcome.
for creating this forum for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. I so love doing it as I'm talking to you and talking to other speakers. Oh, I think I know what my next step is. So anyway, so cool. But thank you for joining me today, Matt. And sorry we lost Kimberly, but I know she had another call to go to. So we'll be chatting again with you soon. Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Okay.